Hi comrades, today RB successfully lodged in his nomination papers despite the cloud over his head regarding the parentage clause in the constitution. Is this the end of the impasse or only just the beginning of events that may lead us into another costly presidential by-election? Before I give you my personal views on the matter, let it be known that I am not a lawyer by profession and I am merely interpreting the current position as an ordinary Zambian citizen. The question is, does RB qualify to stand and be elected President of Zambia based on the current provisions of the 1996 Constitution? Article 34(3)(b) in my mind is quite categorical in that it states a person shall be qualified to be a candidate for election as president if both his parents are Zambians by birth or descent. As can be seen, the provision is not talking about the person's parents' Zambian citizenship per se, but their originality. This clause basically ties the qualification for president to the actual place of birth or originality attaching to his parents' citizenship, which is descent. This obviously is an undesirable provision, but this does not remove its constitutional significance. The Constitution is the highest law in the land and sets the standards which must be complied with. If in doubt, this is the reason why KK did not qualify to stand for elections in 1996, despite him and his parents being Zambian and despite the fact that they were in Zambia at the time of independence, which by virtue of the 1964 Constitution deemed them to be Zambians. It follows therefore that if indeed any one of RB's parents were born outside Zambia, he does not meet the requirement to be President of Zambia. Who then has the responsibility of ensuring compliance at the nomination stage? I think the responsibility at the nomination stage is for the presidential aspirant to prove that they meet the constitutional requirements. He must swear to the facts. And if required to, he must satisfy the Chief Justice that he meets the requirements of the Constitution. This would require the aspirant to produce evidence to meet the requirements of the parentage clause. In all honesty, this should not be difficult, especially in areas where missionary churches and hospitals existed or chiefs' records were maintained in the colonial times for purposes of poll tax. So what if the aspirant lies when making a sworn declaration and the Chief Justice does not demand proof? What next? Well, making a false declaration under the Elections Act and the Oaths Act has consequences which will come to play at a later stage after the elections. That is, if a petition is lodged and proof to the contrary is produced. At this stage, the returning officer can reject, delay, or accept the nomination with its attendant consequences to the elections. So does RB's successful nomination put the matter to rest? I think not. Whether the Constitution is good or bad, it needs to be respected. All the Chief Justice needs to do at the nomination stage is satisfy himself reasonably and not absolutely that the requirements of the Constitution have been met, and accept the application as officially being duly lodged. Where there is still dissatisfaction as to the action of the Chief Justice, as is the case now, this becomes an electoral dispute to be settled under an election petition after the elections. At that stage, detailed evidence can be provided to prove or disprove the facts of RB's parentage. For our learned Mr. Kavimba, my advice is please note that the court of jurisdiction for any matter which may arise as to whether any provisions of this constitution or any law relating to the election of a president has been complied with is the full bench of the Supreme Court under Article 41 of the Constitution. Essentially, if the election petition is successful, the election may be annulled and Zambia could be headed for another costly presidential by-election in a space of 3 years. The solution, comrades, is a new people-driven constitution without such bad clauses, including the Christian Nation Declaration, I might add. Peace and one love, gongs.